Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I'm your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. I want to take a chance to shout out my last episode 125 with Jeff LePage. It was his first appearance since episode 34, and we talked about his deployment in the Middle East, what that was like for him, and then we talked a little bit about him coming back home, and he started his business Simple Salt Solutions, which is a hydration business, how he got into that, talking about his ambition and his drive to go back to school, looking to get into the mental health field. And great podcast. We drank some wine in that podcast. It was cool. He made some homemade wine, so that was a great part of that podcast. So then you guys should go check that out at thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch your podcast, you can go search on YouTube, The Carroll Connection, or Jared M. Carroll. It should pop up right for you. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, you can reach out to me at Jared M. Carroll on Instagram or at The Carroll Connection. Text me, Snapchat, however you want to reach out, you can do that. Hope you guys had a great holiday break. I did as well. So we're going to dive in today with another great episode, bringing back one of my favorite guests from episode 4, as well as 46, Kate Abrams.
We are back. I'm excited. It's been a really long time.
Yeah, it's even been a long time since we've hung out. So I'm really excited to actually do this podcast, and then obviously we get to hang out and stuff. So this will be great. So kind of catch everybody up since that last appearance on that podcast. And for you guys that are listening, this is the 2022 year in review episode. So we'll talk about 2022 specifically, but it's been a while since you've actually been on the podcast. So we'll catch people up on that too.
Oh, yeah. And it's been quite a year. I think so. It was February when we did that last one, right?
February of 2021. So you kind of have 2021 to catch up on, and then we have to talk about 2022. So.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I moved. I'm still doing the same career in social media. Which is awesome, but totally taken a bunch of different paths with it, gotten into a lot of new things, moved out of the hometown, which was really, really cool. Got into a relationship too after years of not doing that. So a lot has changed.
Yeah, it's a major life changes.
Yep.
So let's kind of start with specifically talking about the business.
Yep.
How has that been going for you? What is it the changes have been like? Even going back to that first episode, which I actually think Sierra Conway passed you on listens for on her YouTube alone.
Sierra, I'm coming for you.
Dude, I've never seen the amount of support for an episode besides that one that you had for episode 4, which is obviously it was the beginning of the podcast. So a lot of people tuned into that one too. And still most listened to audio version podcasts. But that's the one thing that she had over you is that she has the video and audio. So that's what happened.
All right, I'm coming back to redeem.
Yeah, so you have to promote this one. At least you got all the video now. We didn't have any of this camera stuff now before.
I know, it's crazy. The setup here has changed so much. I'm proud of you, dude. You've taken this from the bottom up. It's awesome.
I had to actually kind of, that's the one thing about social media that I've really kind of love. And I see it too with guests is when you say something publicly, you kind of are holding yourself accountable to that standard. Yep. So you kind of have to execute on what you say.
100%. I know that all too well. If I'm going to say I'm doing something and I don't follow through on it, my followers will tell me right away. They're like, girl, you said you were going to do that. But yeah, it's been nuts. So if you guys didn't watch any of the last ones, I do social media marketing for a living. Been doing it for 4 years now. And it's changed a lot since COVID. I think that before it was more, I don't know, just Instagram based, and we would do these events and stuff, but now it's taken a complete turn. My social media following is really ramped up. I'm on TikTok a lot now, which we got to go back to last episode I did, because I remember sitting here and you were blowing up on TikTok and you were like, Kate, you should really get on there and start posting more. I think you could really blow up your biz. And I was like, absolutely not. That's not TikTok. That's not the platform. That's not where I would go promote business whatsoever. And I do not even use Instagram anymore at all. I only use TikTok now. It is my favorite platform. I hit 10,000 followers for the first time today, which
Congrats
is huge.
on that. That's huge.
Thank you. It took me a bit, but I got there.
Yeah, you got some work to catch up.
To you.
At least I've stopped, so you can catch up now. I've been kind of really kind of just been chilling with it. So
yeah, but that it's funny because I sat here and I was like, no, that's not the platform for it. I couldn't do it. And I just think that social media has really changed a lot just in the past year alone. It's crazy. I think that we used to really care about material things and you wanted to see fancy stuff and all like the highlight reels. And now people just want to have fun and people want to see real, raw, people on TikTok, everyday people. So it's been really fun to kind of make that switch over.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made the switch over.
Yeah.
For one, I was definitely on you for that for a while too. It's like
on it.
you have the personality to easily be on that platform, and like what I knew would probably be really successful for you is the ability to talk. And like when you can get on an app like that, and the algorithm really can favor it too if you can get the right like momentum. And like what I really like about your TikTok is you didn't make it all about your business. Like you made it just you. And I think that's how you actually have a successful platform, is when you make it not so much about like a niche. And that's where I've kind of run into some trouble, is like I have a specific niche that I have to like hold myself to, and like I can't escape it for that part. But you can just do whatever you want to. I've seen you talk about a variety of different things, from like Taylor Swift to like even to like talking about the stuff on like the hurricane videos, and like how you felt about like some of the comment sections and stuff like that. So like you've kind of prevented yourself from being boxed into a niche, and I think that's what's going to benefit you in the long run with social media.
Yeah, I think that one of the most important things right now, if you want to do anything on social media, is being yourself and connecting with people and sharing opinions and just being real. And I think the problem with Instagram was it's a highlight reel. You post pretty pictures, or like even reels. Reels are not like TikToks whatsoever. You don't get on a reel and talk to people and, you use a sound, you do a voiceover thing, whatever.
You copy a TikTok and put it on.
Right. You literally just repost it. But on TikTok, you can make that sort of content where you can get out there and talk to people and have that instant connection, and people get to know you. And that's been my biggest strength, I think I've done a good job at balancing out getting people to know me. They get to see the real, raw Kate, not the highlight reel of it. But they also get to see I'm serious about what I do and I have fun with it. And I think I've been able to kind of be a little bit more laid back with my content on TikTok, because I'm able to have more fun. I'm able to kind of joke around with it a little bit more and be funny. And there's so much more you can do on there. But it took me a while to get there. I wasn't comfortable getting on TikTok and making those videos at first, like talking to people. I was like, you're going to get ripped to shreds. People on TikTok are nuts. Those kids are evil.
That's facts. The comment sections have no remorse sometimes.
None. I was on live today. I just curled my hair. Just sitting there curling hair, talking to people, answering questions. That's another fun thing you get to do on there, because your videos get pushed out way more than an Instagram live. But I'm sitting there and the comments I'm getting, people telling me my lazy eye this.
You have a lazy eye?
I didn't know. TikTok told me I have a lazy eye. Crazy comments. Someone told me I'm their favorite, like, transgender TikToker. Like, I get crazy shit on there. But you got to have tough skin, because they do not care. I could post that the sky's blue and someone would tell me it's yellow and to jump off a bridge. Like, it's bad.
No, I used to get so like I haven't done a live in probably over a year. Like, I stopped. Like, it just, not for any like reason specifically. I just kind of just stopped doing it. But like, the lives were a real place where you could actually feel like you're connecting with people. Right. Obviously, you're going to get those messages here and there, and those can be detracting and like annoying and ignorant. And that's something, as like a creator of social media content, you have to kind of like learn and adapt. Like,
it's part of the job.
Yeah. And like, I've even had like, I had some TikTok accounts, like fake accounts of just me, like taking my photos and like making fake accounts. I'm like, I don't know who's doing that. Like, I'm not anyone that needs to be made a fake account of, but like, I'm saying my picture on an account that's not mine. I'm like, that's just weirdo behavior. And it's
then
like,
they say you have an OnlyFans and you're like, God, that's not me, and all this stuff.
No, that is me. That is me.
Just kidding.
Okay, no.
Go find the OnlyFans.
Yeah, link in bio.
But yeah, it's bad. You gotta have thick skin, because these kids are ruthless. They're like fourth graders on mom's phone, just going off on you. It's bad.
It's a different generation, because they don't understand consequences to things that you say. And in this generation, there really aren't consequences to their behavior. Like, I think the biggest fear is someone gets canceled nowadays, and like, you're just getting canceled on the internet. You're not getting canceled in real life. Like,
well, I do see a trend lately, not a trend, but I see this happening more often, that people that say stuff that's just totally not okay on social media, just not okay to say to someone or in general, see them getting pretty big backlash in their life too now, getting, kicked out of their college that they're in, losing their jobs, all of these things. I think you got to be a lot more careful with what you're putting out there now.
yeah, for sure. That's a tricky road, because like I like agree with some of them, and then some of them it's like the ones that get me mad are like when someone can go like on your Twitter from like when you were like 14 and like
Pull up an old
pull up
tweet.
something that could be completely like song lyrics or something like that. Like, the context in which we live in society now is not the same context in which we live society back in like 2012 or
Yeah.
like something like that. And that, I think, context matters and it's relative. And like when you're looking at it through that perspective of like what was acceptable back in 2012, or like even go back to like 2007 and shit like that. You
Mhm.
further and further you go, things that are acceptable back then are now no longer acceptable now.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you draw the line? And like,
Mhm.
what is like, can you give consequences for something that happened back then when it was deemed more or less acceptable than it is now? Like, where's that line? And I think that's the issue.
Right. And did someone grow from that? Did they learn from that? I mean, even just, you might not know who this girl is, but if you're a female on TikTok, I'm going to assume you know who Makeup by Michaela is. This girl,
Was she on the BFFs podcast?
I don't think
She from
might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she was on there. Yeah, I missed that episode. I got to go back.
Yeah, it was a few months ago.
But yeah, she's like a normal girl from here, used to work at Ulta, blows up on TikTok. She makes a video, saying that she's tired being an influencer and she just stopped work at like 5:09 o'clock or something. She's talking about how exhausting it is. She got ripped to shreds. She couldn't even show her face on social media for like 3 months. She just came back now. And luckily she like poked a little, joke at it and made fun of it. But even just something as simple as that, someone just being like, I'm tired from work, and the whole earth attacks them. It's nuts. Can't say anything these days.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, because like I saw her episode and I thought it was really cool. It's like, oh, it's someone from fucking Massachusetts.
She's
Like,
really cool.
Yeah, she like I liked like I don't know if she was working on her own makeup or something, or her own brand. Yeah, I think she was she was talking about that, and like she was gearing up to like, I don't know if she wasn't promoting it on that episode, but like she was gearing up to like get ready to start doing that. And it was just cool to see someone like kind of locally like really make it. And like that, like she was like local too, like really local. And it was, I think it was like Fall River or something.
She's from like Mansfield or something.
It was something like
really close.
Yeah, it was something really close, and I forget where it was. And they talked about it in the episode. And I was like, this is crazy how. And that's the thing with TikTok that Instagram can't give you, is like you really do have a chance to do. It's less now than it was like a couple years ago, but like the chance to become a somebody on social media is very hard to do in general. Yeah. But on TikTok, you really have a chance.
You wouldn't even believe the numbers on TikTok, what this pulls in. TikTok has become the most downloaded app in the app store, hands down. But it's also like the #1 most visited app in sight of all time. It is the #1 search engine now, surpassing Google. Because think about it. If I want to look something up and I want to, perfect example, I bought snowboard pants the other day. So I didn't want to go on Google and Amazon and look at reviews. I looked up the product on TikTok and saw people using it, saw people talking about it. That was my Google search. People are using TikTok like it's Google. It has over 3.5 downloads, 1.5 billion active monthly users. No other app is touching that. And you have the opportunity to go viral like crazy. First of all, Instagram, you suck.
It's a dying app.
I hate you. The algorithm sucks. I don't see my friends post.
They ruin photos. Like, and they went too much to the reels to compete with TikTok. Right. And it's like, do what you're good at. Do what we are here for photos. Like, stick to the damn photos.
Yeah, and then even if you want a reel to go viral, it's got to be a trending sound. It can't be your original sound unless you're like doing something crazy. But on TikTok, you can literally post a video of you using your own voice. It could be a 2-second clip of you. Crazy viral. All of a sudden, you're an influencer getting flown out here, there. You work with all these companies. Happens like that. See that Alexis Earl girl that's like going crazy, or Alex Earl?
No.
There's another girl coming up on TikTok right now, blowing up. Like, I'm talking Charlie D'Amelio blowing up. on TikTok. And it's just from her talking, being herself, getting ready in her mirror. I'm telling you guys right now, if you are looking to just start doing that, just get on your phone and just start making content. That's what it is. Be yourself, just make the content. You have no idea what could happen. There's so many people on that app.
100%. That was something that, like, when I first started doing the TikToks, like, I got, and like we hung out a lot during 2020, 2021 too, was really when I was really popping off too on the app. And like, I would post like 5 to 8 times a day. And I struggled with like feedback from friends about what I should be doing, what I should be posting. And like, if you want to like actually like make it on that app, you have to be active on the app. And like, a lot of people do struggle with being active on social media because there is a lot of issues that can arise and stuff. Like, people can judge you and all that stuff, and it's uncomfortable and it's scary. And like, I get that. But if you have a vision for yourself, you have to be able to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be uncomfortable, and you have to actually do the damn thing.
Yeah.
And TikTok is an app. And the one thing with TikTok too, they've even included, to go off the search engine stuff, if you're like, you ever see when you're watching a video and you swipe up and it tells you what to possibly search, like related to that video of what people are searching. So it's like, that makes a lot of sense. And even to see like the products being used, like, that is like, I wouldn't even have thought of something like that. So be like, search it on TikTok and you could see it actually being used, which is way more beneficial than a Google search.
It's what I do for everything. I don't even get on Google anymore. If I want to know something, I'm going on to, which is probably a bad thing because TikTok's filled with a lot of other useless information that's not
slippery
true.
slope.
Right. So, I think I'm dying from like a headache twice a week, but I find out everything on there. I get like news from there, which also isn't good, but like, you know what I mean? It's such a quick thing right in your hand. And we were kind of talking about this earlier before we started recording, but I think that whole idea of having content you can post right there that goes so crazy viral in the matter of minutes has really changed just the past year. News, events happening around the world. We've never really had that. Never in history have we been able to sit there and watch stuff happen all over the world play out right in the palm of your hand as it's happening like that. Do you know what I mean? It's changed a lot.
Yeah, and that's definitely impacted like our whole society as a whole, and how we view things, how we think about things, how we talk about things. Like, the culture has shifted, and like, a huge part of that too was COVID changing a lot of things. COVID is like, we're 2 years really removed from all this stuff, like 2 full years of this like changed society. And like, that is something that I've always struggled with, is people want to get back to the way things were. It's like, that ship has so far sailed, like we are never going back to that. And you have to adapt. Like, this is the way society is now. And right now, TikTok is the app. Like, if you do not use TikTok, you are going to struggle. And like, obviously there's a lot of like this, like the government stuff talking about whether they keep TikTok, whether they don't. For the time being, TikTok is here. So you need to be using it, especially as like a social media creator. Like, there's nothing that's going to get your stuff out there quicker and faster and like at a higher possible rate of actually being seen, like TikTok.
Yep. It has changed my entire business. I'm like a completely open book kind of person. So being vulnerable here and just honest with people, there was a point over this time in COVID where Instagram just like wasn't cutting it. Nobody was watching content. I was getting such low amounts of views. It was insane. And it wasn't like worth it for me to be posting. Now I'm consistent, so I kept doing it, but it wasn't getting me the results that I wanted. And I had to completely pivot into TikTok. I had to change the content I was making because I couldn't put that stuff on TikTok. How you were talking about niching down earlier. I had to niche down to, okay, I promote hair care, skincare, and wellness products, but if I post all of that on my page, no one's going to know what I'm doing. So I was like, I'm going to turn my page into me and also the hair person that posts all just like that. And TikTok is really turning into that app where if you are known for that one thing, kind of like your page, people are going to go to you for that resource. So my page is kind of turned into that hair resource for people. And I wouldn't have been able to do that with Instagram. So if you're in business, you got to get on TikTok. I even watch companies now. People make videos. You don't know what user-generated content pretty much is what it is. But it's people that make videos for other companies and they don't post it on their page, but the company pays them for it and then posts the video for them. And people are making videos being like, your company that's putting up a billboard and a commercial and all of this stuff could have doubled your income you're making off of this product, this launch, whatever it is, if you had just posted a stupid trending TikTok. That's like 3 seconds long. That would have gotten you more business. So it's just crazy how all of that has changed the market, social media, everything so much.
Yeah, and I think for myself too with social media, I really had to really reflect this past year, and we'll start like using this as kind of like a pivot into like this is I've really changed my approach on social media. For a while, I was really like consumed with the TikTok content that I was making and was trying to keep going viral. And like TikTok has a weird algorithm where it gives you views and takes them away really fast. And like they do it specifically to keep you addicted to using the app and posting the app.
Yeah.
Like, does it derail a lot of people? Yes. But like that once you get a following, you do somewhat chase the high of getting those views. And like TikTok is very good at like putting a carrot on the stick type thing and kind of dragging you along with it. Cause like they know there's no other social media app that competes with them. So it's not like you can just say, oh, well, I'm going to go to Instagram and do this stuff. You really can't because you don't have the reach that TikTok provides.
Yeah.
So it really keeps you there. And I've struggled with myself this past year is continually trying to post that stuff where a lot of the time my stuff is breakup relationship related. So like if I'm not going through or situationship related, if I'm not going through these things, it's hard for me to generate content for those things. And like, I don't like to just fake the content because it's not as genuine and it doesn't feel as good for me. So I've had to like really pull back on that. And I've noticed for myself a positive impact of that, of where I don't feel like anxious about stuff. Like, and I don't use like real life situations as much in my content anymore. And like, it was kind of like a healing thing for me. And I kind of really pulled back on it this year and kind of really put more time and energy in this podcast. And even just having this conversation, I'm going to probably have to figure out a way to take this and more pour this and this type of content onto TikTok and try to put more of my personality into my page and kind of have to bite the bullet of like showing like myself a little bit more on my personal page and taking the bite in the sense of like my views will probably dip off. I'll probably lose followers, but like continually posting stuff will overall help me because this is the content where I thrive.
Yeah.
And once I can figure out how to like more incorporate that into my content, I think I'll be better off with it. But that is something that I'm thinking, even as we're just talking about it, is like where I could kind of like push that content, because I'll always love doing the breakup and like relationship stuff. Like it's just a chaotic time in dating. Like dating is crazy.
It's also super relatable, that kind of content.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah. And that's what always keeps me. I'm constantly struggling in the dating life, as you know. Like we spent all of 2021 of me just like kind of going through some bullshit, like trying to figure out stuff and catching up from 2020. So like this past year though, I could say like I've really kind of like took time to figure out some stuff and like kind of put my head in like a more like positive looking direction of like, I mean, we were talking off the podcast about like where I personally want to go with my life and like weighing the odds of like moving to like New Hampshire or staying local and like these different aspects. And I think a lot of people need to be, especially in our age range, need to be a little bit more forward thinking about this stuff. And like,
agreed.
Even hearing about a lot of the stuff that you have going on in your personal life, you're taking these steps to move in the right direction. And it sounds just from like, if I just flash back to that last podcast to where we are now, completely different mindset between both of us. And like, I think that's part of the reason I was really excited to have you on for this episode is one, obviously I haven't seen you for so long. And two, to like to really reflect on 2022 and like, what has it kind of like been able to teach you? And I've even seen it like how you mentioned in your business, how you've been posting less on Instagram and how your TikTok content really started to ramp up. And I think that's like a cool thing to like see. And like, I've seen that because like I'm very observant on social media. So like when I not see you going on live on Instagram, but then I'm scrolling on TikTok and you're popping up on my live, like that shows the power of social media. Is like on Instagram, I might not even see you go live if like at all, but on TikTok, I'm just scrolling and you pop up. Exactly. Huge difference.
I think this whole past year for me was about like pivoting in life, making just kind of cutting the stuff that was just getting me by and just making me happy. And this year it was like, okay, you're going to get it together. You're going to get happy. You're going to do the content you want. You're going to talk about the stuff that you want. You're going to finally do the things you didn't want to do before. It was just all about pivot and change. I mean, I was single for like 6 years before I got into this relationship. So it was a total, mindset and everything shift when you go from being by yourself, super independent, to being with someone else. I think that changed. I think that was the reason for a lot of the change in my life this year, because you start thinking goals, you start thinking down the line and future and house and kids and all of that stuff. So everything changed. I needed to work harder. I needed to switch stuff up. I needed to be more committed to me in my life rather than everything else going on around me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And for you guys, I'm going to be messing with the camera for a second, but like, I think seeing you in like a healthy actual relationship has been like a huge thing too. It also makes me like wishful and hopeful that I could find something from like myself too one day, because like that is something that like I've always struggled with, is like trying to find someone that like matches that wavelength. And like, I mean, you're someone definitely knows firsthand of just some of my struggles I've talked to you about. We spent literally almost like every weekend of like had to be like 2021, like just like talking about this stuff. And you were there for me for like a majority of that shit. And like, I obviously appreciate you for that, because most people were not there for me at that point.
Always got you.
And like, there was just so much stuff that we were able to like relate to, just being content creators and like going through stuff at the same, like similar time. And to see you kind of progress in like the fact that I haven't seen you as often is a huge testament to the fact that you have a healthy relationship. Yeah. And like, that is like, it's like part of growing up. It's like sucks that like I don't see you as much, but like I'm happy that you're in a healthy, happy situation.
Thank you.
So it's like, it's part of this growth process that we're going through like this life. And like a lot of people will get upset or angry that you don't get to hang out with their friends as much, but it's like, you want your friends to succeed in life, in all aspects of life. And I don't think enough people understand that. I mean, maybe it's a maturity thing, but I think what you're going through right now and you're building is a good thing. And it's like, it's nice to actually hear positive things, especially when everything's so fucking chaotic right now.
Right. I also think, coming from like a super small town where we know everyone and stuff, it's easy to kind of be here and be like, there's nothing and no one here. Like, I'm not going to date Sally who from like second grade and whatever. Like, like it's all people we know or like someone's cousin or this. So you kind of get in this weird feeling of like, should I leave here? Should I not leave here? You get in this weird, especially this age, like we're closer to 30 than anything now, which makes me sick.
You don't need to say that.
Makes me sick.
Intrusive thoughts are coming out. Don't say that one.
Right. But you sit there and you're like, all right, I gotta let go. I gotta go somewhere else. I gotta leave. So I get kind of being like in this weird, what's the next step? What's the next move kind of phase? That's how I felt all last year. So this year I kind of got over that hump and now it's just growth from here and leveling up to the next spot in life and moving out of Seacock.
Yeah. I mean, like that's a huge step too that you took. And like, I love hearing that. And like this, like I even had an episode, I forget if it was early, I think it was early, like February, January of 2022. And I even called it Feeling Stuck. And I was feeling stuck with the podcast. I was feeling stuck mentally, emotionally. Seasonal depression was probably just kicking my ass at that point.
For sure.
Because like I've gone back and listened to that and I'm like, that was what I was feeling then. But like, I think I also needed that episode to kind of just get it out there and just release something. And that was something that I've kind of realized with this podcast. The longer I've done it, the more important it's become to me. And the more valuable these episodes are. Because like I forget who was talking about this too, I think it was this kid Damien a couple weeks ago. And I was like, just to like imagine, like you always think about your parents and like what they were like growing up. Like if I'm lucky enough to have kids, they'll never have to really know because they can literally watch if they want to, which is like the coolest thing.
Freaky to think about though.
Yeah.
how much footage and stuff our kids will have of us. Oh God, don't let them see my TikTok. Oh,
Shame.
God.
Mine's embarrassing.
They're gonna watch me yelling at people about comments on the hurricane. Oh God.
They're gonna watch me talk about fucking dating and breakups.
Yeah, right.
I'd rather have them see yours than mine.
Dad's a sad boy. That's so crazy.
Dad was a sad boy. Come on.
That's just nuts to think about.
Digital footprint.
Wow. Those are things that you don't think of, though, like every day. It all goes back to your Twitter from 2010, you know? Same idea, but it's crazy to think that the next generations to come will always have this. That is nuts.
Yeah.
I wish I could pull a video of like my great grandma, you know?
Right? It's like you always wondered what it would be like. And like this past year, this whole year for me, and like obviously I'm going to keep referencing this, like this episode of like being able to review this year, was kind of like being in this reflective state and like being more patient with myself and accepting that I'm not going to have it all figured out yet. Like, yeah, we're closer to 30, but like when you really think about it, 30 is still fucking mad young. And like the way modern medicine has gone about things, and like the knowledge about health and fitness and like the way to keep your body right. Like we have enough resources to live a pretty long life.
Yeah.
And like, obviously barring any crazy outside things that happen in this world, but like to continually push forward and like get over those like bad days. Cause like you're gonna have like all these like miserable, sad days where you just don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do the podcast. You don't want to get on TikTok and make your videos. You don't want to sell for your business. Like you don't want to deal with customers. Like you're going to have these days regardless.
All
and
the
it's like,
time.
you have to be able to like rely on your habit. And like this past year has been a big thing for habits. I saw you.
I love that you just said that. Have you ever read the book Atomic Habits?
Yes.
Fire.
Great book.
I recommend it to everybody because I think one of my biggest problems, talk about reflecting here, I am someone that will make a list of 15,000 things to do. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, getting that done. I'll wake up in the morning. And if I'm nice and warm in bed, that schedule is getting pushed back 2 more hours. I'm laying there. We'll bump that thing on the to-do list tomorrow. I'm really bad with that stuff. So I forgot what we were just saying there, but
habits.
Changing your habits. One of the biggest tips that they give in that book is instead of being like, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow after work, like, yeah, we'll do the gym tomorrow, setting it up after stuff in your day-to-day life, right? And saying it out loud and confirming to yourself that like accountability, nah, you told yourself you're going to do this, you got to do it. So I started switching things of like, instead of saying, oh yeah, I'll go to the gym after work, it's like, the second I get off work at 3 p.m., I'm putting my gym clothes on, I'm getting out the door, and I will be at the gym at 3:10, no questions asked. And if I say that to myself in the morning, there's no excuse. I have to go. And once you change those habits, if you do something like 20 times, one little habit every day, changing it, that will become a solidified thing you do every single day. So I think if you're someone that's looking for big change in life, instead of trying to make massive changes all at once, which I tried to do and was way too overwhelming for me and made me feel like shit because I wasn't doing all of it, you know what I mean? Like just made it all worse. Try just changing one little habit every day, because it's your habits that it comes down to every day. And if you can change one of them, you will slowly over time change all of them, and they'll become every day easy. Don't even think about it. You just do it.
100%. It's literally the small things. And like, that's what I really liked about that book was it's Atomic Habits. We're talking about the smallest things of habits. And half the things in life come down to the consistency aspect of life. If you're able to consistently do things, you're going to beat 99% of people, because most people just aren't consistent with what they do. So that is something that like, and I even talked not last week. Well, for us, it's last week. But like for the listener, the last episode with Jeff LePage, we talked about I was kind of hinting at the fact of being proud of what you've accomplished. And like most people struggle with like being proud of themselves. I'm definitely one of those people. But like when I was looking at hitting like 3 years of this podcast, I'm like, I've done something. Like this is something cool. Like I have over 100 plus episodes, 100 plus conversations with people. Like most people don't have that. And like, I have something that can make me stand out from other people, and I have something that's mine. And I think once you are able to have that for yourself, you can feel a lot more confident in like, I was literally talking to Jeff like recently because he kept texting me about like, you're a great communicator and all these things and stuff that like I've always struggled to give myself credit for. And like, it's like, well, I hope so. I've done a lot of these podcasts. I hope I'm a good communicator. And it's like, I could actually pat myself on the back for actually putting in the work to be good at this, to have a
Yeah.
conversation with a lot of people who I didn't know before I did this. And like to have you come back this is the third time solidifies that I have created something that actually is like worth doing and it's worth having
Exactly.
fun. I think you're the one that actually coined the therapy session.
Mhm.
And I've ran with that ever since. And like, got to give you like your flowers for that. Cause like you kind of
Thank
coined
you,
that for
thank
me.
you.
Cause like how I explain it to people is like, this is like a therapy session.
Yeah.
Like this is really just like a vibe and a conversation, but it's also therapy.
Mhm.
And everyone has their different therapeutic outlets. Some people it's the gym. Some people are really religious and they like church, or I don't know, whatever it could be, whatever your like your hobby or your passion is, that's kind of like your therapy.
100%.
And it seems like what I've seen with you at least is like the way you're able to communicate with the people and trying to help them with your business and help them with their hair, their skin and all these stuff. That's your passion. And like it
Yes.
comes across to me is very obvious, but like I love the way that you actually are like 110% into it. Like you're not one of those people that are like just trying to make enough to make the money and just like run away and
Thank
like do
you.
like you're all in.
I always say you can't fake the funk with something like that. You can smell it from a mile away, especially when it comes to, because I mean, I guess you could say it's sales at the end of the day of what I do, I guess. Especially in sales, if you come across just the slightest bit phony or you're not 100% into something and love it, you can tell. And it reads all over you. It comes across ingenuine. You're not going to get what you want from it. But I think one of the most fun things for me through this experience of kind of like gaining my own voice in that and being so passionate about it and having fun is then watching other people realize, oh, hey, wait, I could also be doing something like that. I could also get fulfillment from being myself and doing these other things. I think that we're kind of starting to get away the feeling of like doing something different is weird and why are you doing that? I think it's a lot more accepted to go out and be yourself and do whatever you want to do. But there was definitely a period where I felt like people were so scared to just be them and so scared to try something new. So I think that the passion definitely comes from hair and helping people with that, but it more comes from watching other people realize like, oh shit, like I kind of got it in me. I kind of have more like sauce that I thought I did, you know? People coming out of their shell. It's insane to watch. Insane.
I think it's huge too when you show your own personal growth with it too. I always love when you show the comparison from like back in the day to where you are now and
Yeah.
like you use yourself as the example. And that makes you relatable because people are like, oh, if it worked for her, it could work for me. And like
Right.
they're gonna feel more comfortable going to someone that's actually done something.
Exactly.
And I think most people that are, especially on the internet, will preach stuff that they haven't really done.
Mm.
And like that's always been my biggest concern with trying to be like a motivational speaker because people always talk to like saying that I could do this or do that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to give advice until I have a certain amount of life experience where I want to give advice.
Mhm.
Because my biggest pet peeve on the internet is like these young 20 something year olds trying to give these motivational life speeches
Mhm.
when they don't have the life experience. Like you never become a parent. You haven't gone through like your parents dying or like whatever. Like you don't have those experiences to rely on. And like
Yeah.
I think experience does matter. And the older that I've gotten, the more that I've realized that it does matter. And like you actually should have those things behind you before you start just spewing shit on the internet.
Yeah, I always say don't take advice from someone if you wouldn't switch places with them. If I wouldn't want to be exactly in your shoes, I am not taking advice from you at all. People always say like don't take advice from someone whose bank account you wouldn't want. That one I don't really know that much about. I don't know about that, but
Depends how much money driven you are, I guess.
But I it's true. You gotta don't take advice from someone you wouldn't switch places with. But I also think that one of the best things you can do, and this is why I love your podcast so much, is listen to other people's stories, absorb everything. I feel like I'm the biggest I watch and then I make my move kind of person, and I do it my own way. But you got to be open to advice always. I always say that. And never be someone that doesn't want to hear from someone else.
That and then like being able to be in my position. I've listened to so many different people talk
Yeah.
about what they've done, and like more recently I've kind of realized that it puts me in a different like it puts me in like this different position than most people, where I can actually come from a place of like sympathy for people, like where I can truly listen to people and actually like be willing to understand them, or try to at least understand them, because like you're not going to fully understand everybody because you don't know their experiences because they're relative to them.
Right.
But the skills that I've learned through this podcast have carried me through life, and like through work, through relationships, through with my family, like all throughout. And it's all because I made a conscious decision that I wanted to do something that was a little bit bigger than myself.
Yeah.
Little did I know it would turn into this. Like, I mean, you get to experience it kind of firsthand, going from like that 4th episode to just the one camera. Now we have the double cameras, the lights, the backdrop, like the progression, like the multiple merchandise. Like, you've been able to like kind of witness this whole process, and like I appreciate you for being actually a believer in this podcast, because you were one of the first people I came to with wanting to get on.
Yep. And I was like, this is going to be your thing. I want to compliment you on, I know like physically all of this has grown so much, but the conversation we had from like episode 1 that we did episode 4 that we did together to now, your mindset has grown so much. The way you listen to people has changed, and just the whole thing has changed so much. And that all comes from adapting, learning new things, taking a little bit of advice from there and changing things up. But the growth has been insane. And it's not just the podcast. It comes from you and you growing mentally and emotionally and all of that. It's a completely different conversation we're having, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like, I think Jeff said something similar last week, and like people who've come back have said that like they noticed the actual change in me, which is like cool. Cause it's like, obviously, when you're yourself, it's hard to like notice that change every single day. But like, that's the cool part of having people return to a podcast, is like, you guys can go listen to the other episodes and then come to this episode and actually hear the change.
Yeah.
And
even
like,
in me, I know if you go watch that first one, oh my God, well, listen, we didn't have the camera then. But if you go listen to that one, I bet you right now I don't even sound nearly as confident as I do on here, because you just get comfortable. You grow. And that's my biggest advice to anyone that wants to start anything. You gotta just start. You started from scratch with nothing. I started my business with nothing, not a knowledge in this at all. And look at us now. Everything's grown and just become something so much bigger than what we thought. It just came from taking a chance and just going after it. So you gotta just
fucking take a chance. got that shit out of me. Like, straight up, it all comes from that belief of like, you gotta try it. Like, yeah, sure, it could fail, but like the amount of knowledge and experience that you gain from actually just trying something new, you have to. And like, I believe, obviously, some people are fine living the life the way they do and just going through the motions. Not me. I want something that I can be like, this is mine.
Yep.
And having this podcast has created a space for me where like I look forward to this every week. Like, if I did the math, and I think it was like 40 episodes this year. I think I had 45 in 2021.
It's crazy.
Which is even crazier that I somehow managed to squeeze in 5 more episodes last year than this year. But like, consistently doing like 40 episodes, we get 56 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
56? Or is it 52?
I think it's 56.
Is it 56?
Oh God, one of us is gonna look stupid.
Damn. I'll take the stupid pill here, but like 50 something regardless. But like the fact that I could almost every single week do one of these things and do it for 3 years, that's something I'm actually really proud of.
That's a crazy commitment and consistency. And it is, I will be the first one to say, it is hard to stay consistent with something, especially if you're not maybe seeing the reward you want out of it right away, the results that you want right away. It's easy to quit on things, but you can't. If you truly want something, you have to just head down. It's going to be a roller coaster. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs, especially like in business. I have months where I'm like, damn, let's pack up everything. I'm done. I'm ending life. I don't want to do this anymore. We're moving to Alaska. And then there's other days where I'm like, I am on fire. This is the best I've ever done. So you just got to stick with it, be consistent, and don't stop. And if something doesn't feel good, just change it. Don't stop what you're doing. Just pivot, make a change. Because imagine if you had one bad day and you were like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to record this week. And then it goes on to next week. And you're like, whatever. Didn't do last week. I won't record this week. You know, it's just all a snowball effect. You can't slow down. You can't stop.
100%. And I noticed that it almost happened when I went to Ireland. Starting up, luckily I booked 3 weeks in advance, so I had no choice to continue because like I hold myself to a certain standard. But like, it was hard to get back into it when stopping. I mean, anyone who's even been remotely into fitness knows that when you stop working out or stop doing something active and then try to do it again, it's hard to self-motivate. And a lot of people use pain as motivation. So like when say your life's going relatively good, it's average, nothing's high or low emotionally, and like you're just trying to like figure things out, it's hard to do things. And like, that was something that I kind of struggled this year, was like I would say last 2 years prior, 2020 and 2021 was emotionally like a roller coaster for me, just up, down, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And this past year was probably the most stable year emotionally for myself that I've had. And I really kind of had to figure out how to fix shit and like put the pieces back together and like move forward in a positive, healthy way. And to build off what you just said too, when you're working consistently at something and you might want to change something, what I do personally is like, at least for this podcast, every year I try to make sure I add something new.
Yeah.
Whether it's like this year I got the camera, last year it was the Rodecaster, the new microphones, like, or adding the lights in the camera the year before. Like, it's always trying to add something new to what you're doing. Yeah. It's that growth. And if you're not actually trying to grow, by default, you're regressing.
Yeah.
And I hold myself to that standard.
And when you were talking about sometimes you're like not motivated, that is the biggest thing. The girls on my team, they're going to watch this. They're going to be like, oh my God, here she goes again with the motivation. Because I talk about it so much. You're not going to be motivated every day. I'm probably motivated like 2 days out of the week to do what I want to do. Come on. Like, you're not going to be motivated every day. But it comes down to the discipline. You have to be disciplined enough to be like, you know what, today sucks. I don't want to do this, but this is the end goal. This is the grind. I just have to stick to the discipline, because sometimes I'm like, my motivation's money. My motivation is also helping people and all of that. But there's certain days where I'm like, I could give a shit about all of that, but you still got to do it. You still have to show up, especially with something like this, social media, the podcast. You can't flake. You can't let yourself down.
Especially when you're the brand.
Right.
Like no one's going to do it for me. No one's going to be like, well, I guess I'm going to sit in today for the Carroll Connection and be the host. Like, no, like, this is my thing. I have to do it. So it's like, that is something that has motivated me too. And like, there's so many little things like that I've seen. And one of my buddies, his podcast is called the Spawncast Podcast. And I did an episode 122, Spontaneous Vibes, with him and my buddy Wally. Go check that out. He had a friend on his podcast recently, and they had a studio day, and that guy recently passed. He was hit by a truck when he's like a bicycle guy, and he had like, he was going for like, I think it was 15,000 miles biked. He was almost there. And then I just saw his post recently that he passed away. He got hit by a truck.
Sad.
And like, just, I was able to like, obviously I was able to meet him because they had the studio day, but like seeing that he has recorded episodes to share and treasures forever reminded me of me having my episode with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And that reminds me how important this is, because it's not, I don't do this just for myself. I also now have a responsibility for every single person that's ever come on this podcast. And I can't let them down either. It's like a certain type of legacy that I'm going to carry on that I'm responsible for now. Yeah. And when you have a public platform where you're going to share your feelings and your thoughts and your goals, you have to consistently show up and be that person too. And in real life, not just on a platform. So I was thinking about how many people always like complain about social media and like, well, I just want a private life. I don't care. I'm private. A lot of the time people are private because they don't have anything fucking going on. They don't have anything worth sharing. And they're usually not as confident as you may think. Usually it stems from an insecurity that they wish they could be like that. And I don't know why I forget what triggered that thought. There was something recently that I saw on social media was like people who hide behind the privacy stuff are just like, always just rubs me the wrong way. Obviously the people who are in life who are truly okay with being private, but like they shame usually, a lot of people will shame people who try to pursue this stuff, especially us smaller creators, for trying to chase those dreams. And it's so weird that people do that. And it's usually because they don't have anything fucking to offer or say.
It's projecting. 100%. I get people in my comment section all the time. Okay, like, you have no followers. This girl thinks she's an influencer, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, damn right I am with my 10,000 followers now. Damn right I am. Like, you can't care about that stuff. But when people say those things, projecting all day, every day. Don't listen to them.
100%. I agree with you on that. You have to do the damn thing too. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be like, I don't know, the most famous podcast in the world. You're not going to be Alex Cooper. You're not going to be Joe Rogan. You're not going to be, I don't know, could be any of these type of podcasts. You're not going to be them right away. Like, no. It's a constant, especially when you're not famous whatsoever. Like, people have this crazy belief that they're just going to blow up, and it's not like that. Like, even on TikTok, you see someone blow up on a video, doesn't mean they're going to be famous the next day either. No. Usually it's if they have the habits already established. Like, that's why routine is so important. If you're able to consistently do these things and you have the system in place, when a video pops off, when something pops off on social media, you have the infrastructure around you to support that and continue doing that. And usually that will derive further success.
And it's the urgency. Actually, really great little story of relating right to this. I had recently posted a TikTok about the dry shampoo recall. If you are not watching, if you don't know what that is, like 1.5 million dry shampoos just got recalled for having really awful cancer-causing ingredients in them. So you guys know I have a clean beauty brand. So I started talking about what's actually in your dry shampoo. Long story short, it blew up. Like 2 million views, and it brought in about 1,600 people looking to do hair consults with me and become customers. About 500 of them, are all customers. It's insane. But having that system in place, I knew that if I wasn't on that right away and like that urgency wasn't there, if I messaged those people 2 weeks from then, they would have no idea what I'm talking about. What hair consult did I fill out? What video were you talking about? They'd have no idea. So you got to have those systems. You got to know what you're doing. You got to stay organized. You got to just be urgent and consistent. I mean, there were some nights when that video popped off, I was up to like 2 a.m. going through hair consults because I was like, this is urgent. If I don't do this now, I could lose the whole effect of that video. So you could have a video blow up, but if you're not on it, doesn't even matter.
100%. And that's where people struggle with social media, and they start posting and they just don't know how to capitalize off like the opportunity. Because sometimes you're going to sometimes it's the stupidest videos that go crazy sometimes. And you just got to figure out how to like kind of use that opportunity to springboard you into the next one and like continually do the damn thing. Like, not enough people truly understand the hard work that goes into creating social media stuff. And especially for someone like yourself who makes a living off this stuff, they don't understand it. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people try to disrespect it too, which is something that like I've always kind of like stuck up for you in that aspect, is like people will try to come at that type of industry. And it's like, one, how can you knock someone for making money? Two, how can you knock someone for making a career out of it? And they probably make more than you and you're complaining about something. It's like, and they're doing what they want to do on their terms. Yeah. It's just crazy to me that people just like in 2022 still constantly try to hate. And it's just crazy. I just can't comprehend it to me.
It's nuts. And comments on social media just mean so much more than people think they do. You have no idea what people are going through. And when you hate on people and when you say stuff, you don't know the effect that has. I think about, that guy Twitch that just passed away. I took so many dance classes from him, and I have met him in person, and that man was the most amazing, smiling, happy, fun-loving, amazing, radiating energy person ever. Contagious. You would never think anything was wrong with him. And that's my point there, is you never know what's someone's going through behind closed doors. That person that you see on TikTok that might be the most bright, smiley, happy person, and you think your one comment that's shitty isn't going to mean anything to them. It most likely does. It probably has a really big effect on them. So I just wish people would be kinder with everything. Who cares how people make their money? Who cares how people want to spend their time? If it is not directly, like, seriously affecting you, what do you care? You shouldn't, because you never know what your words are going to do for someone else. It's sad.
It is, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, especially because, like, you see, like, my mom would always be watching the Ellen show, and, like, just seeing him on there is never, always in a good mood, always happy, and, like, to hear the tragedy that's come from that, and it's just, like, sad that, because, like, you said, like, you never know, and, like, it all it takes is could be one, whether it could be a situation, a comment, or whatever, one interaction that was just
Right.
negative that just sent someone off, because, like, you really don't know what people go through, and I think that even stems from why I wanted to start this podcast in the first place, was, like, to, like, make people feel seen and heard.
Yep.
Because everyone in this, like, time period right now feels like they're alone, that no one cares about them, that no one cares about their story, that they're just irrelevant, and it's just not true. And hearing those type of stories makes me want to continue doing this. And, like, I've always said, I don't care if this ever blows up, I don't care if this makes money. I do this to, like, strengthen the relationships of people around me and give me some purpose too behind that. And
Yeah.
if that's what motivates you, I think that's going to carry you a lot further than someone who's just driven by chasing money.
Exactly.
Money's fleeting. It's important to live. I understand that in society, but
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going to die, and that money's going to mean nothing. And I always say people don't remember, the money you had and all of this stuff, but people remember the way you left them feeling at the end of the day. Just be a good person. Leave everybody better than you left them. Make people feel good. Lift up other people. If you're doing the opposite, you are what's wrong with this world. Truly. Like, there is no room for any hate and all of this crap that we have going on lately. There's just no room for it. People just shouldn't be so hurtful and harsh and awful to people. You have no idea.
I agree. And we are getting towards the back end of the podcast, so I do want to start tying some bows and wrapping this bad boy up.
Let's do it.
Let's kind of wrap it up with, like, your 2023 goals, kind of like things that you're looking forward to, things that you're hoping to maybe accomplish. I'll kind of let you kind of steer that, and then we'll start to wrap it up.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited for 2023. I feel like we're finally out of this whole COVID thing. So for me, I'm really excited to get back into work events. I haven't been able to travel for work in a really, really long time. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that. I want to start doing more community stuff, like in Rhode Island and Mass, and getting more, like, women that are influencers, entrepreneurs, putting together events, because there's not a lot that goes on around here, getting people like that together. So that's a huge goal of mine for this year, and just chugging along with TikTok. I mean, it's really blowing up now. So just consistency, still doing the same damn thing, but definitely lots of travel, lots of events. Would love to get more women entrepreneurs together in the area. I think we're a force to be reckoned with around here.
I think that's a great idea, and I think that's good goals going into 2023. For myself, I would have to say, continually doing the damn thing, showing up, doing the podcast, continuing with my workouts, reading more is something I got to get on my thing. I've slacked, like, the last half of this year, just not reading as much, but getting back on that grind. We're already booked a trip to Germany in September, so
Nice.
that's something to look forward to. We'll see about the house. I kind of put a goal on myself to get a house this summer, so, like, we'll see. The aggressive push towards a house or something like that is definitely on the radar this year. And I do want to do a virtual podcast at some point this year. It's something that I want to try at least. It's not something that's going to take over for this podcast, but to have the capabilities to do that, I think that's something that is worth doing. And maybe tweaking something with the TikTok. Like, I don't know. I haven't figured out what to do yet with it.
I think your followers would really love to see more of you, and more just like your personality, and a little bit more of, like, just Jared,
Yeah, I think so too. It's something that I have to figure out on how to show that.
Yeah.
There's something there. I mean, I can't not use a platform of, like, 60,000 people. So
Right.
it's something that I got to figure it out, but there's going to be a change with that. I think I just got to figure out what to do with it.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, there's still going to be relationship stuff because I apparently suck at that. So it's still going to be there.
It's still on my FYP all the time. But I think that'll make a really good shift for you. And I think it would be just growth all around.
I think it'd be more of what I want to actually do. Versus...
And I think a virtual podcast will be sick. You'll get to talk to way more people. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the goal. I've always resented it just because I like the energy in the room when you talk to someone face to face. But
100%.
It does open up a whole different door for me that I already have a bunch of people that I could talk to. And I think it would be good to kind of extend that branch out there and get into some new audiences and try that. So it's on the table. It's something that I'm in talks with some people. So, and especially getting a new camera that can record longer. So if we got to work with Zoom or something like that and figure out how to appropriately do that, but that's definitely on the table. So as we come towards the end of this podcast, I'm going to kind of leave you with the final word. You can kind of go in whatever direction you want to go. Anything you want to promote, just kind of, whether you don't have to do anything motivational, but you can, any advice, promotion, like I said, and then I'll take the floor and give all my closing stuff. So whatever you want to say, I'll let you kind of take the final word here.
Cool. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I love being a guest every single time. If you guys aren't following me, definitely go follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Kate Abrams. You guys know I always got you with the clean hair care, skincare, wellness, all of that. I like to give lots of tips and stuff on my TikTok for hair, so check it out. But I think kind of the theme of going into the next year, kind of my advice to everybody is be yourself, start to not be so serious on yourself, and be kind, work hard. I feel like this year we just need more love. There's been so much crap. So work hard, just stay dedicated, no motivation, dedication all day.
Stay consistent.
Consistency is freaking key to everything, anything.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up. And Kate, appreciate you for always coming on the podcast. You're day one. I've always got you locked in for this stuff. And I just always appreciate the support. I mean, being one of the first episodes that I ever recorded, you're locked in history with that. So wherever this goes, you're there. And if I do the math, I'll have to do the math on Sierra's episode, but I'm pretty sure she got you maybe a little bit more, but I can check the math right after we get off this air.
Go stream it, guys.
Yeah.
Run my numbers back up.
The numbers up. But for you guys, if you guys like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. You can check it out at thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you'd like to watch your podcast, you can search it on YouTube, The Carroll Connection, or at Jared M. Carroll. If you want to be a guest or a returning guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at The Carroll Connection, text, snap, however you want to reach me. Until next time, guys. Peace.